I'm sitting here in my mom's basement at 3 a.m., staring at a bank account with $12.37 in it. 3 years ago, I had close to $800,000. All gone. Every penny I ever made, every dollar I ever saved, every dream I ever had about financial freedom. Gone because I believed in cryptocurrency a little too much. Because I thought I was smarter than everyone else. Because I invested my entire life in crypto and now I'm broke. My name's Jake, and this is the story of how I lost everything chasing digital gold. You think you know where this is going, but trust me, you don't. This isn't just another crypto crash story. This is about what happens when you bet your entire existence on something you don't fully understand. And the worst part? I'd probably do it all over again. Let me take you back to 2021. I was working at this dead-end retail job, making barely enough to cover rent and groceries. Every day felt the same. Clock in, deal with angry customers, clock out, go home to my tiny apartment, watch Netflix, sleep, repeat. But at night I was reading about this thing called Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency that was supposed to change everything. The blockchain technology that would revolutionize finance, eliminate banks, make regular people rich. I wasn't some tech genius or finance expert. Hell, I barely understood how my checking account worked. But something about crypto just made sense to me. Maybe it was the idea that I could get in early on something big. Maybe it was the promise that hard work and smart investing could actually pay off for once. Or maybe I was just desperate to escape the life I was living. I remember the first time I bought Bitcoin. $50. I was so nervous clicking that purchase button, like I was about to lose my grocery money for the week. Which, honestly, I kind of was. But watching that $50 turn into $60, then $70, then $80 over the next few weeks, man, that was like nothing I'd ever experienced. It was hope in digital form. That's when I knew I was hooked. By early 2022, I had about $3,000 invested across Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few smaller altcoins. Not much by crypto millionaire standards, but for a guy making $12 an hour at a retail store, that was serious money, and it was working. My little crypto portfolio was outperforming anything else I could have done with that money. My friends were putting their savings in bank accounts earning 0.1% interest while I was seeing 20%, sometimes 50% gains in a single month. I started reading everything I could get my hands on. White papers, market analysis, crypto news sites, Reddit forums. I joined Discord groups where people talked about Bitcoin investment strategies and cryptocurrency trading techniques. The more I learned, the more convinced I became that this wasn't just some speculative bubble. This was the future of money, and I was getting in early. So I made a decision that seemed brilliant at the time. I quit my job. Yeah, I know how that sounds now. But back then, when Bitcoin was hitting new all-time highs every week, when everyone was talking about crypto millionaires and early retirement, it felt like the smartest move I could make. Why waste 40 hours a week making someone else rich when I could spend that time learning about blockchain technology and building my crypto portfolio? My parents thought I'd lost my mind. "Jake, you can't live off of Bitcoin," my mom kept saying. "What happens when the crypto market crashes?" But I wasn't listening. I was too busy being right about everything. For about 6 months, I was living the dream. My crypto investments were growing faster than I'd ever imagined possible. Bitcoin hit $65,000. My portfolio was worth over $50,000. I was making more money in a week than I used to make in 2 months at my retail job. I moved into a nicer apartment, started eating at actual restaurants instead of surviving on ramen noodles. Bought some decent clothes for the first time in years. But here's the thing about cryptocurrency that nobody tells you. it doesn't just go up. It goes up and down, like the world's most expensive roller coaster. And when it started going down in late 2022, it went down hard. The Bitcoin crash was brutal. 65,000 became 50,000, then 40,000, then 30,000. My $50,000 portfolio became 30,000, then 20,000, then 15,000. But you know what I did? I bought more. Because that's what all the crypto experts were saying. Buy the dip. Dollar cost average. This is just a temporary setback before Bitcoin goes to the moon. I took out a personal loan. $15,000 at 18% interest. I maxed out my credit cards. Another $12,000. I borrowed money from friends and family. Just until the market recovers, I promised them. By the time the dust settled, I had close to $90,000 invested in cryptocurrency, and the market kept falling. Here's what nobody warns you about when you get into crypto trading. It becomes an addiction, not like a casual hobby or interest, a real, psychological addiction that takes over your entire life. I was checking prices every 5 minutes. Literally. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to see how Asian markets were affecting Bitcoin prices. I couldn't watch a movie or have a conversation without reflexively pulling out my phone to check my portfolio. Every day was an emotional roller coaster. Up 5% in the morning, I'd be planning my future mansion. Down 10% by lunch, I'd be having panic attacks about losing everything. My relationships suffered. My health suffered. My mental state was completely tied to the daily fluctuations of the crypto market. But the worst part was that I kept doubling down. Every time the market dropped, I convinced myself it was just another opportunity to buy cheap Bitcoin before the next bull run. I started getting into more exotic cryptocurrencies. Altcoins with names like SafeMoon and Elon Doge, and whatever the latest meme coin was trending on social media. Because Bitcoin wasn't moving fast enough anymore. I needed bigger gains to recover my losses. And that's when I discovered leverage trading. If regular crypto trading is gambling, then leverage trading is like gambling with a loaded gun pointed at your head. Here's how it works. You borrow money from the exchange to make bigger bets. If you have $10,000 and use 10x leverage, you can make trades worth $100,000. When the price goes up, your profits are multiplied by 10. When it goes down, your losses are multiplied by 10. And if the price moves too far against you, you get liquidated. Everything you put up as collateral disappears instantly. I started small. 2x leverage, then 5x. Then 10x. At first, it was incredible. I'd make more money in a single day than I used to make in a month at my old job. But leverage works both ways. One morning, I woke up to find that Ethereum had dropped 15% overnight due to some regulatory news. My leveraged position got liquidated. $25,000 gone in my sleep. Did I learn my lesson? Of course not. I borrowed more money, opened bigger positions, used higher leverage. Over the next 6 months, I got liquidated 4 more times. Each time, I told myself it was just bad luck, just poor timing. The next trade would be the one that made it all back. By early 2023, I owed money to basically everyone I knew. Credit card debt, personal loans, money borrowed from friends and family. The interest payments alone were killing me. My crypto portfolio, which had once been worth close to $90,000, was now worth about $12,000. And most of that was tied up in coins that had lost 90% of their value and would probably never recover. I was getting phone calls from debt collectors. My credit score was in the toilet. I couldn't afford rent on my apartment anymore. That's when I had to move back in with my parents. Imagine being in your mid-20s, moving back into your childhood bedroom, Having to explain to your mom and dad that you'd lost everything chasing a cryptocurrency dream they'd warned you about. The shame was overwhelming, but I still believed. I still thought that if I could just hold on a little longer, if I could just find the right coin or make the right trade, everything would turn around. Because that's what addiction does to your brain. It makes you believe that the next hit will fix everything. The end came faster than I expected. There was this new coin called Terra USD that was supposed to be a stable cryptocurrency. It was algorithmically pegged to the US dollar, backed by all this sophisticated blockchain technology. I put my last $8,000 into it. 3 days later, the entire Terra ecosystem collapsed. Terra USD, which was supposed to always be worth exactly $1, became worthless overnight. $8,000. Gone. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was watching my last hope disappear and realizing that I had absolutely no idea what I'd been doing for the past 2 years. All that research I'd done, all those white papers I'd read, all those Discord groups and Reddit forums and YouTube videos about crypto trading strategies. None of it had prepared me for this moment. I wasn't a crypto expert. I wasn't a savvy investor. I was just a guy who'd gotten caught up in a bubble and convinced himself he understood something he didn't. So here I am now, 26 years old, living in my parents' basement, working 3 different gig jobs just to make minimum payments on my debt. My total losses? Close to $120,000. Money I didn't have, borrowed from people who trusted me, invested in digital assets that turned out to be worth nothing. The crypto millionaire dream? Dead and buried. My credit is destroyed. My relationships are strained. My mental health is in shambles. But you know what the craziest part is? Part of me still believes in cryptocurrency. Part of me still thinks that if I'd just made different choices, if I'd just been smarter about my investments, if I'd just held on a little longer, everything would have worked out. That's how deep this addiction goes. If you're thinking about getting into crypto, let me save you some pain. Here's what I wish someone had told me 3 years ago. First, cryptocurrency is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a replacement for having a job or building traditional savings. It's a speculative investment that can lose value just as fast as it gains value. Second, never invest more than you can afford to lose. This isn't just good advice, it's survival advice. The crypto market is volatile and unpredictable. Even Bitcoin, the most established cryptocurrency, can lose 50% of its value in a matter of weeks. Third, leverage trading is financial suicide. I don't care how confident you are, how much research you've done, how sure you are about the next price movement. Leverage will eventually destroy you. Fourth, don't quit your job to become a crypto trader. I don't care how much money you're making in the short term. Markets change, bull runs end, and you need stable income to survive the downturns. And finally, be extremely careful about who you listen to for investment advice. The crypto space is full of influencers and experts who are more interested in selling you their courses or pumping their own bags than helping you make smart financial decisions. These days, I'm slowly trying to rebuild my life. It's not easy. The debt collectors still call. My parents still give me disappointed looks when they think I'm not watching. My friends who I borrowed money from don't return my texts anymore. But I'm working. 3 different jobs, actually. Uber driving in the mornings, food delivery in the afternoons, freelance writing at night. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work that pays real money. I've also started seeing a therapist who specializes in gambling addiction. Because that's what crypto trading became for me. Gambling. The same psychological patterns, the same inability to walk away, the same belief that the next bet would fix everything. And slowly, very slowly, I'm paying back the money I borrowed. It's going to take years, maybe decades, but I'm committed to making it right. Do I still follow crypto prices? Yeah, sometimes. Old habits die hard. But I don't trade anymore. I don't leverage. I don't chase the next hot coin or listen to predictions about Bitcoin going to the moon. Because I learned the hardest way possible that there's no such thing as easy money. Here's something interesting that's happened since I lost everything. I've become better with money than I ever was before. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, when every dollar matters, you learn to budget. You learn to save. You learn to distinguish between needs and wants. I've got an emergency fund now, a real one, in a boring savings account that earns 0.5% interest. It's not much, but it's growing slowly and steadily. I've got a retirement account through one of my jobs. I'm putting in the minimum to get the company match, investing in boring index funds that track the overall stock market. Am I going to become a millionaire this way? Probably not. But I'm also not going to lose everything again. And you know what? There's something to be said for financial stability, for sleeping through the night without worrying about margin calls or liquidations, for having relationships that aren't strained by borrowed money and broken promises. The funny thing is, while I was losing everything, cryptocurrency kept evolving. Bitcoin recovered from the crash and hit new all-time highs. Ethereum launched major upgrades. New technologies like NFTs and DeFi became mainstream. Some of the people I used to trade with in those Discord groups actually made it. They managed their risk better than I did, took profits when they should have, and built real wealth through cryptocurrency investments. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. This crypto story didn't have to end in disaster. If I'd been smarter, more disciplined, less greedy, I could have been one of the success stories instead of a cautionary tale. But that's life, isn't it? The same opportunity that makes some people rich destroys others. The difference isn't luck or intelligence or even timing. It's discipline and risk management and knowing when to walk away. I just never learned how to walk away. So here's my question for you. What would you do in my situation? You're 23 years old, working a job you hate, watching other people get rich off this new technology called cryptocurrency. Everyone's talking about Bitcoin investments and blockchain revolution and crypto millionaires who retired before 30. Do you play it safe and stick with your boring job and traditional investments? Or do you take a chance on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change your financial future? Honestly, knowing what I know now, I still understand why I made the choices I did. The potential upside was just so massive. The fear of missing out was overwhelming. But if I could do it over again, I'd do it completely differently. I'd keep my job. I'd invest only what I could afford to lose. I'd never use leverage. I'd take profits when I was ahead instead of always holding for bigger gains. Easy to say now, right? You know what the real lesson of this story is. It's not about cryptocurrency being bad or good. It's not about Bitcoin being a scam or the future of money. The real lesson is about human psychology, about greed and fear and the stories we tell ourselves when we want something to be true. I wanted so badly to believe that I'd found the secret to financial freedom that I ignored every warning sign, every red flag, every piece of advice that contradicted what I wanted to hear. I surrounded myself with people who reinforced my beliefs. I consumed media that confirmed my biases. I dismissed criticism as jealousy or ignorance. And when reality finally hit, when the market crashed and my investments disappeared, I was completely unprepared for it. That's the real danger of any investment, whether it's crypto or stocks or real estate or anything else. Not the financial risk, but the psychological risk of losing yourself in the pursuit of easy money. These days, I'm trying to build wealth the old-fashioned way, working multiple jobs, saving money, investing in diversified index funds, learning about personal finance from actual experts instead of random people on the internet. It's slower. It's boring. It doesn't have the excitement of watching your portfolio double overnight or the thrill of discovering the next hot cryptocurrency before everyone else. But it's sustainable, and sustainability, I've learned, is more valuable than explosive growth. Do I regret getting into crypto? That's a complicated question. I regret the way I did it. I regret the risks I took, the money I borrowed, the relationships I damaged. But I don't regret the education. Losing everything taught me lessons about money and investing and human psychology that I never would have learned otherwise. Expensive lessons, sure, but valuable ones. So that's my story. I invested my life in crypto, and now I'm broke. But maybe that's not the end of the story. Maybe this is just the middle. Maybe in 10 years, I'll be telling a different story about how losing everything in crypto was the best thing that ever happened to me because it taught me how to build real wealth the right way. Or maybe I'll still be paying off debt from mistakes I made when I was young and stupid and thought I could get rich quick. Time will tell, but I want to know what you think. Have you ever been tempted by the promise of easy money? Have you ever made an investment decision based on fear of missing out instead of careful analysis? Have you ever lost money on something you thought was a sure thing? Let me know in the comments. Share your own stories. Because I think by talking about our mistakes, by being honest about our failures, we can help each other make better choices. And who knows, maybe my expensive education can save you from making the same investing mistakes I did. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to build better lives for ourselves. And the best way to do that is by learning from each other's successes and failures. What do you think? Was I an idiot for believing so strongly in cryptocurrency? Or was I just unlucky with my timing and strategy? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. And if there's anything about this whole crypto journey that doesn't make sense, any part of the story you want me to explain better, just ask. Because if my $120,000 mistake can help even one person avoid the same fate, then maybe it was worth it. Maybe. You know what's weird? As I'm recording this, Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high again, $93,000 per coin, and I'm watching it from the sidelines. Part of me feels vindicated. Like, see, I wasn't completely crazy. Cryptocurrency did change the world. But another part of me just feels empty. Because while I was right about crypto's potential, I was completely wrong about how to approach it. I had the right vision, but the wrong strategy. I still follow some people from those old Discord groups. Some are doing incredibly well now. There's this guy Marcus who just bought his second rental property with crypto profits. They made it because they did what I couldn't. They took profits. They diversified. They never risked more than they could afford to lose. When Bitcoin hit 65,000, they sold some. When it crashed, they bought some. They treated cryptocurrency like an investment. I treated it like a religion. These days, I have a different definition of success. Success isn't making $1 million overnight. It's sleeping at night without checking crypto prices. Success isn't driving a Lamborghini bought with Bitcoin profits. It's having enough in your emergency fund for unexpected expenses. I know that sounds boring compared to crypto dreams, but boring is underrated when you've experienced the alternative. I want to be honest. The urge to get back into crypto trading never completely disappears. Every time Bitcoin pumps, every time I hear about some altcoin doing 1000x gains, part of my brain starts calculating. What if I just put a little in? What if this time is different? It's like being a recovering alcoholic walking past a bar. The difference now is that I recognize those thoughts for what they are. The same thinking patterns that got me into trouble. If someone asked me for investment advice today, here's what I'd say. Start with basics. Pay off debt. Build an emergency fund. Contribute to your 401k. Only then, if you have money you can truly afford to lose, consider putting maybe 5% into crypto. And when I say afford to lose, I mean you could watch it disappear tomorrow and still pay rent. Treat it like entertainment money, not investment money. One thing I didn't expect is how long the consequences last. My credit is still recovering. I'm still paying off debt. My family still worries about me. Some friends never got over the money I borrowed. And dating? Try explaining you're living with your parents because you lost everything trading crypto. But there have been small victories. Last month, I paid off a credit card completely. I've been putting $50 monthly into retirement for over a year. These aren't exciting social media posts, but they're real, and nobody can take them away. I invested my life in crypto, and now I'm broke. But I'm not broken. I made massive mistakes. Lost more money than most people see in a lifetime. Damaged relationships. Had to start over. But I'm still here. Still working, learning, trying to build something better. Maybe that's the real story. Not the rise and fall, but the slow work of rebuilding after losing everything. Whatever financial decisions you're facing, whatever investment opportunities are tempting you, remember my story. Behind every success story are dozens of failures you never hear about. Markets go down as well as up. True wealth isn't built overnight. Should you invest in crypto? Maybe, if you can afford to lose it. But should you bet your entire life on it? Trust me, you shouldn't. What questions do you have about my story? What would you do differently? Let me know in the comments. Share your experiences with investing, with risk, with expensive lessons. That's how we help each other avoid life-changing mistakes. Thanks for listening. And remember, in investing, the only sure thing is that there are no sure things. Stay smart. Stay safe. Never risk more than you can afford to lose.